Syos, shape your own sound.
Hi, I'm Pauline, the CEO of Syos. Welcome to the second season of the Syos Rendez-vous, the podcast for curious musicians. In each episode, we invite artists and professionals from the music world to talk about everything related to the life of a musician and to share experience and anecdotes. If you want to know more about your instrument, if you want to progress at the speed of ultrasound, and if you want to know everything about the music business to launch your career, you have come to the right place. Our podcasts are available on all streaming platforms. Feel free to listen to them, support them with a like, and share them with your friends. Hi everyone, thank you for being here today. I'm really happy to have Seun Kuti with us. Thank you. How do you pronounce your name? I'm never sure. Seun, okay, yeah.
You got it, Pauline.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, Seun, for being here with us today. It's a great pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, It's good to be here.
Okay, so just for the people who don't know, you are the youngest son of the legendary Afrobeat Fela Kuti. So, and you were only 14 years old when Fela died, and you then assumed the role of the lead singer of Egypt 80. So, and ever since you have followed the political and social ethos of your father. Can you tell us more about how you were raised and what was the environment at that time?
Well, I grew up with my dad. My dad died when I was 14. So I grew up with him in the Calcutta Republic till that time. The Calcutta Republic as a place, as a, physical place, died with my father, but the good thing was also that it was more than a place. It was also an idea. So everybody that was in this community kind of is spreading this idea. We are living this idea. It is how we were raised under socialist African principles, and it was truly a community, and my father spent all the money I was supposed to inherit running this republic, had paying people. My dad he really believed that, from life you take what you need and the rest has to go back to the people. So everybody in the community got a weekly allowance, weekly salary, and that's just how he chose to practice what he preached. Calcutta was also a place that was open to everybody. So we had people living there from all over the world, and it was a place that was ahead of its time, like an alternate space where those that society didn't want could find a place that they could feel comfortable and people to understand them. Because that's all everybody wants, right? Someone that understands, or an institution that understands. And I think that's what the Calcutta Republic was to a lot of people. An institution that understood, that they didn't want to fit in this capitalist, patriarchal system of, domination, Yeah, so that was how I was raised, understanding those principles. And I feel it's really weird because many people actually think that my dad, is a misogynistic, patriarchal guy because he had a lot of women, but, if you lived in Calcutta, you know that, the women in Calcutta actually had all the power in that house. It's funny. It's funny. Anyway, for me, it's interesting, to see life from that perspective. And I think I'm just lucky, I won the daddy lottery. That's what I always say. I won the daddy lottery to be able to experience this, ideas and how it's put into motion and how people react together, living trying to achieve the same goal, you know. Interesting.
And so what happened to Kalakuta after his death?
Nobody wanted to pay for it.
Okay. So then it just disappeared?
Not that it disappeared. It's a museum now. The house is still a museum. But I'm saying, like, having people living together under that kind of system, it disappeared because nobody wanted to play that role, you know, and nobody can play that role, you know. It was the role for the black president.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So he was financing all the community with his own money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's yeah. And during that time, so when and why did you decide to start playing saxophone?
Okay, my saxophone story is funny because I just wanted to play it I saw it as a interesting thing my dad had. So I used to always just enjoy making it sound, you know.
Yeah.
So I would go to my dad's sax every time and just play it. Bum, 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 bum. You know, and my dad, you know, is always pissed. Stop playing with my sax, you know, it's not a toy, you know. You know, so one time he had enough. So he said, I'm going to buy you your own, you know. So when I was like 6 or 7, he bought me a sax. But he wouldn't give it to me until I could breathe properly, he said. He said, if you're going to play with this, you have to breathe properly. So he started teaching me how to breathe when I was like 6 or 7. You know, and then he gave me my sax. And then I got bored, you know, as every kid, you know, now that I had mine, you know, and it was now like a routine. Okay, you have to practice this time. Oh my God, take this thing away from me. You know, because I always enjoyed playing the piano a lot better when I was younger. You know, that was more of the instrument I liked. So to get away from playing the sax all the time, I just focused on my piano. I'm like, I want to play the piano. I don't like the saxophone. You know, but when I turned like 13, 14 again, you know, and my dad passed and I was playing with the band and I was actually playing the piano in the band, you know. I started playing the sax again, you know, teaching myself how to play. I had Babani teaching me, a few of the band members that had time, you know, Showboy, you know. So yeah, that was really my sax story. But I really enjoyed teaching myself. And even till now, I still like, one of the things I enjoy about music is the science of it, you know, that you could always learn new things about your instrument and take a new step forward. You know, there's always a step forward. So that's why it's interesting and it's something you could really do for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And even up till now, I mean, I still took some lessons with Brent Brickhead from New York.
Really?
Yeah, we still did some lessons together, just, you know, trying to understand his own style, trying to sound as well, you know. So for me, that's the most exciting thing about real musicianship, that every real musician must always remain humble, you know, regardless, and especially in the presence of musical knowledge, you know. I think that is what is missing in mainstream music, the humility of real musicianship, you know. Mm. It's one of the things missing, not the only thing. One of the numerous things missing, you know. So yeah, that's my sax story. And
so what were your main influences in music at that time? So your father, I assume, but did you listen to, what kind of music did you listen to at that time?
Oh, my dad, funny enough, I never heard Fela listening to music. And it's kind of rubbed off on me now that I'm grown up. I hardly listen to music. Maybe it's because music is the job, you know, I'm playing music every day, I'm practicing. What time do you have to listen to music? And especially when I'm writing also, I try not to listen to music when I'm writing my album because, you know, you don't want anything to, you don't want to accidentally seep in just because you've been singing this catchy tune all day, you know, then you go and compose your own music before you know you're composing the same song.
Okay, yeah.
So that's just me. When I'm writing, I'm really like off like the musical grid completely. I'm just practicing and focusing on the inspirations that I have and turning the sounds in my head into music, you know. So yeah, that's it. But my dad I can never say I heard him one time. When I was growing up for a while, till I was about 9, he had a tape player in his room. But when tapes became CDs, he never got one. And this tape player got bad, and then there was no tape player.
Okay.
You know, he had the TV he hardly watched. You know, he used to only watch CNN, and then he'll say, "Oh, I'm tired. Put off the TV." This is CNN stands for See No News. I can never forget that. CNN, don't watch this. Put it off. I'm tired. This stands for See No News. They don't tell anything that is true. Once, this is way before everybody knew that.
Yeah.
So my dad never really listened to music when I was growing up. So I was always around him. So I think that kind of rubbed off on me. I don't like listening to music is not my relaxation. I read when I want to relax. But I watch a lot of TV, because there are a lot of documentaries and interesting things I like to use on TV these days. So I have to catch it, and I'm also doing some things in TV now. So I'm learning by watching.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Okay, that's interesting. But so then you, as we said a little bit earlier, you became the leader of the band Egypt 80 when you were only 14. So how did you manage to lead such a large band?
I was not the leader.
You were not,
No. I was already in the band since I was 8. A lot of people say that, his father died and he became the leader. Nah, this didn't happen. I did not inherit the Egypt 80. It wasn't written somewhere. It wasn't written somewhere when I die, the band goes to Seun or whatever. Nah, I was already in the band. I joined the band when I was 8. I started opening the shows for my dad. I'd been in the band 6 years before his passing. I'd done 2 tours with the band, and so when my father died, it was just the band needed a new front man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and I used to open the shows and they were like, okay, I can be the front man if that's what the band needs to keep going. Because the family thought since my dad was dead, there was no need. So nobody was going to invest in keeping the band going. But I said, if I keep playing, they were like, yeah, you can keep what you make if you keep playing with the band and you're able to keep them going.
Okay.
My ring is stuck.
Oh.
It's fine. I'll get it out. And that is how it happened. That's how it really happened. And there was no, how would I put it? Thirst for power. So I wasn't thinking, I was 14. For me, it was a great way to improve my musicianship. I was proud of the responsibility to front for the band, and keep this African musical institution. That was very important to my father as well. Kept it going and my dad and I had an amazing relationship. So for me, it was a way to keep that relationship, It was a bond in a way. We did this job together. It was one of the things, in fact, the only thing I did with my dad, because my dad didn't do anything. Fela didn't used to go out. When I was growing up, he didn't play. We used to play sports sometimes. We played football a few times, but not a lot of times. The only thing we did together was play music, So, and our bond was in the band, really, But we were quite close. Outside the band, we just stayed at home and did nothing. I was in his room. My dad Fela had a incredible sweet tooth, So we are all day in the room just gorging our face in cake and ice cream and sweets, and he's telling all these stories, and that's all we did all day. Stories, cakes, ice cream, sweets.
That's nice.
So music was the thing we actually did that was like a physical activity, and I opened the show for him, and so I kept playing in the band. So that was it really. And that's why even up till now, the band always has a leader that is not me. The band had their own assigned band leader, and what I do really is like a CEO running the business and stuff like that, and having to sit here and do this interview.
So you are the CEO of the band, and there are director, director.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I understand. So, how do you think the music evolved through those years?
Oh, well, I don't know. I think, like everything else, it depends on who is creating the music. So I create the music for the band now. And I think my music has evolved with my growth as a musician and as a human being. You know, I always want to let my albums, well, I've said this like a million times, but I'll say it again.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I always like my albums to reflect where I am individually and musically. You know, I want to be as honest as possible about what's going on in my mind, how I see the world, you know, and I want to, as much as possible, represent the level of musicianship that I have in me. You know, I think if I'm able to represent these two aspects on any record, then I've successfully made a good record, you know, and that for me is what it is.
Okay. Talking about your album, so you released the last album, so it was Black Times. You haven't released any.
Yeah, but I just released.
Yeah, I saw like some
singles,
live music.
Yeah, and I released like 2 songs from the next record, but in singles because I played them live on the TV show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did that. Love and Revolution and Emia Luta. I also have a project coming out with Black Thought, you know. Because I've been seeing on my project since 2018. Was supposed to release a project in 2020, but then it was COVID. I couldn't tour. I couldn't do anything. So we kind of like just sat on everything.
Yeah.
But now that we're back, we're going to just flood everywhere with all this music we've had, you know. And it's kind of good anyway. It also gave me some time to relax. I enjoyed the pandemic because for the first time since I've had my kid, I just had these 2 years I didn't go anywhere and just sat with her and spent time with the family, with my wife, you know. So yeah, I wasn't a Rolling Stone for these 2 years, and I got used to that life. Touring is hard.
Yeah.
You know? But this tour has just been extremely long as well. I've never been on tour this long in a stretch. You know, I've been on tour since the 28th of May.
Oh wow.
You know, so it's been really, really long. You know, really, really long. You know, so maybe it's that, or I'm just not used to touring anymore. One of the two, but I just can't wait to go home.
Yeah, so talking about the album Black Times, I wanted to see if you can tell us the story behind Black Times. So it's the song which also gave the name to the album and which features Carlos Santana. So what's the story behind this one?
Oh, the featuring of Carlos Santana.
And the song also, because
okay.
I think the song is important.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'll start with the song.
Yeah.
The song is really about us as African people embracing an African narrative that, you know, like you have the New York Times and all this. That's why I call it the Black Times.
Okay.
You know, and that's why I start off like a journalist. I'm bringing some news and I'm bringing some tidings from the Black Times. I'm bringing some news and I'm bringing some tidings from the Black Times. You know, even the music behind it. You know, the way from the bass to the guitar, I want you to think you are either watching a news program or turning the pages of a newspaper, you know. And you know how the news really likes to use beautiful music, you know. So I want to pass that message as African people. The narrative that will lead us to where we have to be in the world today is different from the mainstream narrative that is being forced upon us, you know. And immediately we embrace this, it's a light, you know. And I use the term black light. And I use black light because our truth as African people is hidden in what is called light, you know. But if you turn off that light, there's a new light now. And if you follow forensic science, you know, they use this thing called black light to find traces of blood and whatever that is hidden from the light. You know, first you have to turn everywhere dark and bring in a new kind of light. You know, and this brings out all the evil that is hidden in the darkness. You know, so, and that's a line in the song. Make you expose of the evil hiding in the darkness. Let the black light shine into our hearts and into our soul. So for me, that is really what the message of the song is, that we have, as African people, have to tune out this so-called light and turn on ours, you know, which is our own narrative, because that is what really is going to liberate us as African people. Now, I had already written this song, we had recorded the song. You know, I didn't have Carlos in my mind at all. I didn't even think, how? How is this going to happen? Where am I going to start from, you know? So I'm on the tour bus, you know, and a very good friend of mine, you know, he's very always involved in he's a friend, but he's really involved in my career, like in terms of, it's his personal business that I become the biggest musician in the world, because that's how he sees me, and he has to dedicate his life to that. You know, I'm just kidding, but he's really supportive of everything I do, and he's what a real friend is like, really. You know, although he can be a dick, you know, but you know, I take him with all his flaws. His name is Matthew. You know, shout out Shapiro. You know, and he's really into music as well. You know, everything music he loves everything that's music, and anyway, let me not go into his personality. It's not about him. So he's reading Carlos Santana's autobiography. Okay. I would not read Carlos Santana's autobiography, but Matthew would read Carlos Santana's autobiography. Although I read a lot, but I'm reading only African history, politics, you know, practical, you know.
Yeah.
And he sends me a page from Carlos's book. And Carlos is talking about me, you know, in his book. So I'm like, oh my God. If Carlos is talking about me in his book and quoting my lyrics, then he knows I exist. This is a different... Let's go. We have to go and look for Carlos. So that's it. You know, so, you know, armed with this knowledge that Carlos knows who I am, you know, armed with this courage, you know, we reach out to his management. Hey, you know me, I'm this guy.
I'm on the book.
I'm in the book. You know, and I meet Carlos, and he's, you know, and people say don't meet your heroes, you know, because they you know what they say, don't meet your heroes. And I always say that is because you have the wrong heroes. I've met a lot of my heroes. The only one I almost met and didn't meet was Noam Chomsky, but we exchanged emails, and he is not, you know, Noam Chomsky was great. I felt uplifted sharing the email. I've met so many people that I admire in this world, and I think it's because a lot of people admire the wrong people.
Yeah, true.
Don't meet your heroes. You have the wrong heroes. You know, but I meet Carlos, you know, he comes to pick me up in his Carlos Mobile. That's what I call the car. You know, because it is not any car. You know, it's not like it's not a Benz, it's not a Toyota, it had no make. You know, it was like built, you know.
Oh, really?
Yes, you know, that's how he balls. You know, so I named the car, you know, Carlos Mobile, you know, taking me around Las Vegas. He took me to his office, dashed me some stuff, gave me some Indian, Spanish stuff. No, not Spanish, sorry. Native American memorabilia. Gave me 100 white roses. Advised me, which was the best gift. You know, gave me some secrets, you know. Took me to his house. I met his wife, Cindy, awesome lady, amazing drummer. We played basketball together. He kicked my ass. And I'm not ashamed to say Carlos cheated. You know, like, it is his house. He has home court advantage. And there's a place in his court. Every time Carlos shoots from there, it's like swish. like every time. So it's either he's really practiced shooting from there, or there's something, they just wait. Shh. Every shot, you can't beat him. I'm telling you, this guy he was 67 or something when we played, and I'm not ashamed to say I lost to him, because I know like there's something from that spot. I'm just saying
the magic spot.
I'm just saying, if you play Carlos, don't let him go in his house to that spot and shoot. You don't stand a chance. 7 times, 21, whoosh, 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 every time. It's crazy. Anyway, so he showed me a good time. And at the end of it all, he gave me the rights to everything we did together. I was like, I don't even want points, don't want anything. I just want to give this as a gift to you. Things like that encourage young artists like me, to keep doing what we're doing. Even though we are not getting the mentions from the mainstream, we are getting it from, the main spirits, people like Carlos who endorse and validate the things that we do, So yeah, that was how Carlos came into the project, So I was really happy to meet him, and yeah, that's that story.